Hello and welcome to another vlog sort of thing. I guess that's what I'm calling these. I don't know. Today is a pretty good day because I just wrapped up my final for the semester. So I'm done with all the work required. I still have an internship that I need to figure out, but a lot of the most stressful stuff is behind me, which is exciting. It's very cool. And I'm looking forward to getting some stuff done in the coming week before I head off on vacation. Also got a retreat coming up, so that's exciting. Yeah, I just wanted to kind of talk about my experience with my finals this semester because I find it to be kind of interesting. Hopefully this should be a little bit of a quieter episode, but it might also be a tougher episode because you can barely see me. That's not great. Hello? Yeah. Hmm. Lots of glare. That's unfortunate, but at least you can hear me. So that's good. So yeah, I had two extremely easy finals and two extremely one of the finals was straight up difficult. The other one felt like it was going to be difficult, but ended up being actually quite easy. And it's really the relationship between these two finals that I find so fascinating. Okay, I'm going to be cutting through this parkway. I hope I can do this. Yeah, okay, this is a good path. So the two easy finals, they were both online and open book, which is a wonderful combination and is really easy, but also means it doesn't really test your knowledge. Like for both of the exams, all I really needed to do was just have the notes open, cross-check everything, and I was good. I didn't need to actually use any real knowledge that I'd acquired throughout the course, which is nice in terms of allowing me to get through it easily, but is not a good design for a final exam. A good final exam is meant to test your knowledge and see if you really digested the course content. And I did not digest the course content. At least I didn't digest like half of it. I tried for the first half, but I had too much work and wasn't really able to keep up for the second half. And also got no reason to do it because they were never testing my knowledge about it. Well, not really. Not very strongly. Man, this is kind of a weird area. Maybe you can see this. There's kind of like this parking lot there, and then it goes and there's an alley there, and an alley over there. It's just a weird place. But there's a park down this way, so I think I'll head here. I kind of do like alleys because it's quieter and there's kind of interesting stuff to see here. I mean, like houses and stuff. It's cool. So yeah, I had this. Oh, what a threatening light! Look down on me. I wonder if I should do more like this. Is that more friendly? Is it like weird when I do? Like, am I trying to like look down on you and show how superior I am? Obviously, no, I'm not trying to do that, but I wonder if it gives that impression. So, we can basically discount the two online exams. They meant nothing. But the two in-person exams were both very big on my mind because they concerned me. One is a philosophy class and the other is a history class. And both of them have fully written answer exams and handwritten as well, which is pretty unusual for exams that I've taken. But, that's just one factor that makes it a little more difficult. But yeah, so I was concerned about both. But the philosophy one I was especially concerned about because the way that the exam was structured, we had 5 total questions that could be on there, and we were given those questions, and throughout the entire semester we had been referring to those questions just as kind of this background context for everything we were learning about, just keeping the questions in mind, knowing that eventually we'd have to be able to use the knowledge we were acquiring to answer those questions. Now, 5 questions. Each one asks a question about one of the concepts in the course, and also it asks you to explain and defend your view. So you're not taking a stance that is definitely correct. You're trying to take your personal stance and defend it using evidence. And on top of that, although this isn't written in the questions, we were also instructed to provide objections to our arguments. So we needed to actively seek to challenge our own beliefs within our answers to these questions and really just display a full understanding of the situation, I suppose. And even beyond that, we were told we needed to make our answers include some original elements. So we needed to go beyond the course material to answer these questions, which is a kind of a tough thing to go beyond what's covered in a course, because normally when you take a course you expect that you're going to be tested on what's in the course, not on what's not in the course. But it's actually kind of cool because it fits perfectly with the outcomes of the class, because the class is philosophy and it's on how to think autonomously and not just accept things that are given to you without criticism, without critical thinking. And so to tell us within this final that we have to display our own thoughts, that's actually very consistent with the goals of the course. So it makes sense. Even if it's tough, it makes sense. And what are the implications of this? Like, what are the implications for me personally? Well, it means that I need to go and I need to make sure that I really understand the content. Like, really understand it. Not just, like, know some terms, but understand how it all interacts, what all the arguments are in the class. All these things. Now, I have done some pretty tough exams in my life. Like, I've done some that required a lot of memorization. I've done some that required understanding concepts rather than just terms, of course. But something about this one it was different. Like, I know that sounds hokey and, like, kind of dramatic, but it's true. Like, it felt fundamentally different from pretty much any other exam I've taken. And as I was preparing for this, I found myself feeling that I was not ready. I felt like I would get a terrible mark on this exam, which is a very rare feeling for me. Most of the time when I take exams, I can study for 1 to 2 days, cram it all in there, go take the test, and I'm good. But this one, for whatever reason, removed all of my confidence. It left me on my back foot, and I think the key to it is this. I am an intelligent person. Like, I don't say that often, and I don't go around proclaiming I'm super smart, but people call me intelligent, and I've taken IQ tests in the past. I took one to get into my high school, which was a gifted high school, which meant that they do an IQ test beforehand to see if you are worthy to go in the class or go into the school, and I scored quite high on the test, actually. If I recall correctly, I believe I scored a 140 for IQ, which, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure that's the same IQ that Einstein had. So, for whatever reason, maybe there was a flaw in the test or something, but for whatever reason, I scored very high, and I've actually seen this manifest, this intelligence manifest in various points in my life. I am very good at being smart, given the right circumstances, because I also have ADHD. That's the thing. As smart as I can try to be, I can often not express it because ADHD kind of ruins things, and it's a very strong balancing factor. But anyway, the bottom line is I know that I'm intelligent, and I know that this makes it a lot of tests easy for me. I hear from other people like, oh man, I gotta study so much and like get really ready, and I've never really experienced a super tough test before. Like, okay, if we're talking like diplomas, those were tough. I got like I think an 80% on the math diploma, which I'm told is actually really high. I'm told that's very good. But like, I didn't get a perfect score on that. So I've done poorly on tests in the past, but generally I do really well. I also understand test psychology. But here's the thing about philosophy, specifically this course in philosophy. Near the beginning of the course, we were taught that there are two kinds of thinking. There's system 1 thinking and system 2 thinking. System 1 thinking is like intuition. It's like the default system. It's how you it's really fast. You can use it for most normal tasks in life. It's almost like your animalistic, instinctual form of thinking. All animals have system 1 thinking. System 2 thinking is your rational brain. It's your slow, clunky form of thinking. It's the form of thinking that's able to conceive of the future. It's the form of thinking that's able to calculate the speed of light and perform all of these big, tough tasks that System 1 thinking is not very good at. And System 2 thinking is exclusive pretty much to humans. We're the only ones who can do it. And according to evolution, it's an accident because it doesn't really help us that much. Calculating the speed of light obviously does not improve the odds of your species surviving in a competitive environment. And I mean, you can make arguments, but that's not the point. So I've just realized that I've walked into the middle of a school park. I'm gonna try and make my way that way out of this place because I don't want to make anyone concerned. Maybe I'll actually I don't know. Anyway, I'm gonna try and get out of here fast, but I'll try and finish my talk about systems first. So System 2 thinking, you do not use it by default. To use System 2 thinking, you need to exercise a cognitive override. You need to choose. It's a choice. No factor other than maybe social pressure to an extent can help you to use your System 2 brain. It's pretty much always completely up to you. And virtually all of the concepts in this philosophy course cannot be understood unless you activate System 2 thinking. None of it is intuitive. You have to think through it to understand it. And what that means is that when I'm trying to study for this philosophy exam, I can't just use my natural talents of memorization or scanning through information or any of these things that I use for any other test that I take. It's all completely unintuitive stuff that I have to use. So this exam was so tough for me because it was forcing me to use my brain. And here's the thing about System 2. System 2 is completely independent from intelligence. To act as a rational person, that act is completely separate from intelligence. Intelligence doesn't help you in the slightest to accomplish that task. So all the concepts in this philosophy class could be just as easily understood by someone with like an IQ of 80 or something like that than they could someone with an IQ of 100, 120, 140, 160. So really all this to say, I was forced into a position where I no longer had any advantage over anyone. And it was all completely up to how willing I was to exercise that cognitive override and actually learn what was being taught. And so, yeah, that's why it was so hard. And so I went and I studied and I prepared. And I got to a point where I was reasonably confident. But here's the other thing about this exam. Here's the other thing that made it very difficult, which I haven't even mentioned yet. So I've been applying for internships, and I did get an interview. I did manage to set up an interview. And what time was that interview scheduled? About 2 hours before this exam. So I would go straight from an exam, from trying to pitch myself to a random company, to trying to comprehend complex philosophy concepts. So, needless to say, that didn't make it much easier. And it's a nice golf course here. So yeah, I went in and I did the interview, and the interview went alright. It didn't go amazingly. It could have gone much better, but it was pretty good. And okay, well, I say that. See, I'm using my System 2 thinking there because I'm not even thinking through what I'm saying. It went well in that I didn't make a negative impression, but it didn't go amazingly. It could have been better. Oh, they got a lock on the door. I can't just walk into the golf course. That's kind of sad. Then again, if I tried to do that, I'm just kind of like a guy wandering around with a camera talking loudly, so they'd probably not appreciate that. But anyway, so I went in, I did as much preparation as I could, and I got to a point where I was pretty confident. And then I did the interview. That went all right. And then I went and did the test. And I got down, and my strategy was come up with an outline for how I'm going to answer these questions. Hope that the questions that I prepare for are the ones that are actually going to be on there. And then, well, do those in reverse order. Hope first, and then once I see that the questions that I do want are on there, then I'll write the outlines, and then I'll use those to write my answers. And I did that, and I went and I did the test, and to my surprise, all the questions I specifically prepared for were the ones that were selected for the test. So that was pretty awesome. And I went and I wrote down the outlines, and I was able to remember all 3 outlines for the questions that I needed to answer, which was awesome. And so everything went perfectly there, and then I went and I did my answers, and I finished, and well, a couple days later, get my grades back, and what do you know? I did well. It's really cool. It's awesome, you know? I had all these worries about it, but I just went in there with a little bit of faith and got answered. Like, bro, that's awesome. So that was one of the tough exams. Now the second exam isn't going to take as much knowledge or as much time to describe because it's much simpler. Similar to the first one, it's written, handwritten, long answer. But this one is asking about knowledge. It's asking about how much I know. And it surprised me, my reaction right after finishing the philosophy exam and moving towards this one, because compared to the philosophy exam, this felt like a piece of cake. So easy. Like, I sat down and I said, oh, all I have to do is memorize stuff? Bro, like, throw it at me. So I did the memorization, and I memorized it quite well. And then I went and I took the test just today, actually. So I don't know my grades yet, but I did really well. You know, we have to write like a whole essay for this, and I got so in the groove of writing this thing that I almost ran out of space in the booklet. So I'm pretty sure I wrote enough. Maybe I wrote too much, but I don't know. So really, to me, it's the relationship between these two tests that's so fascinating. I have one where I barely managed to get through it. It feels like such a grind. This feels like what most people describe when they talk about their exam experiences from people I've met in engineering and computer science and other disciplines, to this other one, which just feels super easy. Like, I guess it kind of shows, if it was purely intelligence that made this one easy, then I guess it kind of shows like the difference between intelligence and rationality. Rationality is tough for everyone. Intelligence, well, some people are gifted, some aren't. But yeah, I guess I don't know if there's really a lesson to all of this, except know yourself, know what your strengths are. Understand, some things people have advantages, other things, like, you're all on the same foot. I'm completely convinced that I had no advantage when it came to that philosophy exam. The only advantage I had was the amount of time that I put into preparing. But anyway, yeah, so that was my exam experience. I just thought it was interesting to point out that difference there. I'm done with all my exams now, which is a great feeling. And these clouds are amazing. Like, look at that. I don't know if that really captures it, but it's awesome. Such scale. So yeah, I'm gonna see if I can get some stuff done. I have a story I'm working on. See if I can maybe finish the first draft at least. See if I can maybe get some recording done. I don't know if I can book recording rooms at my university while we're on exam break. But yeah, that's I guess that's about it. I don't have anything else to say that I can think of. So I can't even see with the glare of the sun there. Is that better? No? Ooh, I mean, if the sun's right behind me, that's actually pretty good. Alright, so thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Thank you for existing, I guess. I don't know why I say that. I mean, just being alive is a pretty good thing, because all human life has value. We're all made in the image of God, and therefore for you to exist is to preserve that value. But if you can make something more out of that value, that's even better. So I encourage that. Go explore things you're interested in. Get outside, go on walks. It's always great going on a walk. And yeah, that's really all I've got to say. So thank you, and I'll probably make more stuff in the future. Yeah, goodbye.